fans, Gooners. It's me and George again. Leicester Arsenal match review. Right on the button. How you doing, George?
Never better.
Never better. Getting better with age, I guess. you and I. Yes, George. It's good to be together again. And we had a few listeners that who clicked on us last week, so obviously our audience remains intact. Small as it may be. But guys, we thank you very much. We appreciate it. And it's motivating me to be on the ball and keep going. So don't think it's in vain. We appreciate the support. George, 3 points yesterday at Leicester. Hard 1 point, George. And my initial reflection on this match, and I must say to you, it's initial. My initial reflection was 6 points from 2 games on the road against 2 tough teams. That is like a title winning team, a team that is strong. But then, George, when I looked at it and reviewed the course of the game, it could have easily gone against us given the abject refereeing. And I hate to make referees an excuse, but then we dominated a game that we should have won by at least 2 clear goals, and only because of the refereeing. Is this a fair comment on the game?
Well, I think the referee kept them in it. But to talk about the game, first of all,
yes,
I seem to have been more impressed with it than most people. I thought we played really well.
Well, the stats do show that, George, and I'll add it while you're talking. I'll add the data from the EPL as you're speaking. Go ahead.
Well, they went to Manchester United the other day, and I don't know, I think they were 18 shots or something.
They did?
United. And United could have been 3 down by the break, and we restricted them to 1 shot. I think 1 shot.
Yes, that's on the. It's on the
and
screen.
That was from miles outside the box, and it went well wide.
And deep in the second half, I think it was Castagna. I think it was, but I might be wrong. Or one of those subs. I don't know, but I know it was deep in the second half. Mm-hmm.
It was a hugely impressive performance from us. I thought we played really well. We didn't create that many chances, but we had total control of the game. Without putting our goal at risk. So I thought we played really well. And some of the performance, I thought Jorginho was magnificent, maestro-like. And then I went on Twitter today and I see somebody had tweeted what a great performance from Jorginho. And I thought, well, I'll just have a look at the comments, see what people are saying, because obviously they've got to agree. For me, he was man of the match again, and he's been man of the match, in my opinion, in every game he's started for us. Anyway, I went on these comments, and I think there was about 2 comments agreeing that he had played well, and about 20 or 30 that were saying he was crap, and it was all sideways passing, and backward. But
George,
he was slow, and he couldn't stop anybody running past him. And I thought, well, who the fuck was I watching? Did I have another match on or something? Because he looked fucking magnificent to me. And I just don't get it. They're talking about... And then some of us, anybody who's begrudgingly giving him some credit, is saying, we could pair him with Partey and drop Xhaka. Like as if Xhaka didn't have a good game and Partey's somehow magically become better than or more important than Xhaka.
George, I'm going to tell you that this has been, most of this nonsense is coming from the commentators. I mean, George, I agree with you. He was magnificent. I don't know. I didn't, give serious thought he was man of the match, and I'll defer to you. But I remember, deep again in the second half, just like last week, he put through a through ball that how he identified it. Apart from his defending and his overall play, I mean, the man can put through a through ball, identify a through ball that is very threatening, and it's not something that's easy to play. I agree with you 100%. I don't know what football they're watching. I really don't.
Well, I've not gone anywhere. I'm still talking. I still see you, but I'm just going to look on my Twitter feed
Yes, yes.
because I do have some stats for him that I saw earlier today,
Okay. I didn't.
and if I can find it, which I can't, of course, but
If I go to,
it was they were sort of incredible, really.
I can go to who scored, who tends to have the breakdown of the players. But it's gonna take me a while. But you go ahead, George. You keep speaking. No, George. I mean, the eye test. You remember the eye test back in the day?
Yeah.
The eye test speaks for itself. I mean, the guy was magnificent, and as you said last week, he was a second run-up in the Ballon d'Or last year. I mean, this is a multiplayer. And I was here, and I was thinking just before this. I mean, how did we manage to snaggle him away from Chelsea? It's amazing.
I think that's quite plain because their squad's unmanageable. You know.
Yes.
And he was obviously one of them that they could get out. They tried to get
some money.
Ziyech out and probably a Aubameyang. They tried to get a lot, but they've got a ridiculous number in their squad. So I think that was why we got him. It certainly wasn't a lack of ability.
Yes.
But like I say, these stats that I had, it showed that he'd made more recoveries than anybody else. He'd made more tackles than everybody else. He'd had more touches of the ball. He completed more passes. He was top of every stat going. And how they were saying that he was playing sideways and backwards. I mean, this is just something that people have stuck in their heads that certain players. And they couldn't be more wrong. I mean, the stats show that Xhaka hardly ever passes backwards.
Yes.
And they used to say it about Arteta, and he was the same. You know, he had the most forward passes in the league.
Right.
Yet somehow it was always sideways and backwards passing. So I don't know what they're watching. It blows my mind. He looks different class. You know, and like we said in the last podcast, I'm not saying that means that he replaces Partey because Partey does have better attributes defensively. But Jorginho, wow, what a player.
Well, we're lucky to have him, George. And in fact, I'm going to give you. I found the stats. Just let me just check. Well, I found the overall stats, and I'll get that back to you in a minute. But he was magnificent, and I was like I said, I am amazed that he's playing for us. One of the questions I was gonna ask you actually, see how you bring it forward, is between him and Trossard, which one of them have been the more important signings? I mean, Trossard has been magnificent, and we played him in a false nine. So, you know, between him and Martinelli were changing. That's the word. But you know, playing in the middle and getting off that shot that he did, just proves that he's a different gravy. He makes us a different. You know, he's really added to the
Yeah, he's good as a false nine, but he's not going to run in behind, is he? And
no, he's not. Yeah.
And what I like about him is he can play off both feet.
Right.
Which distributing the ball gives him a lot more options than if you play the likes of Martinelli in the middle.
Remember, you and I spoke about when he came on. You and I said that's a good. He can play right or left. No, yesterday he was playing left, mostly alternating with Martinelli, but he's a right footer.
Yeah, but he can pass equally well with his left foot, or maybe not equally well. He's not Santi Cazorla, but he's very competent with it.
Yes.
But Trossard had a good game as well. So both of them have been good purchases. When you think that it was less than 30 million for both of them,
Wow. A
You know,
steal.
yeah,
Steal, I mean, in modern prices, is a
yeah, and,
steal.
and I mean, much improved the squad. Those two additions,
Yes,
strength and depth everywhere now.
definitely. You know, George, going back to the game itself, it was obvious from the start that we were coming for the 3 points. I mean, at one point we were 88, nearly 89% possession in the first half. The commentators reel that off. And basically, or 81%. I think I'm at 81 versus 19. Yes, it's 81 versus 9. I'm looking at my notes, guys. And and Leicester at home were content to sit back, George, soak up pressure, and occasionally counter attack.
And they're an attacking team. You
Yeah,
know,
indeed.
we had total control of the midfield in Odegaard, Xhaka, Shevchenko, and
Yes.
Jorginho himself. Absolutely dominated that midfield. And Leicester are a decent, when you look at the squad, when you look at the names, they're a decent
Great.
team. And
Yeah.
they're a young team, they're full of energy. So, yeah, I thought it was a very. The only downside is that the XG was only about 0.6 or something for
I
us.
saw you. Hmm.
And I mean, but for them, it was 0.01.
Yes, I saw. I think that was the point you made
In other
somewhere.
words, they had no chance of scoring a goal at any point. And
One shot.
yeah, one shot.
It was by Dewsbury Hall, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, um, then they came to life in the second half after we scored. But George,
Did
before
they?
that, I mean,
I don't know that they came to life on a football sense, but they decided to start kicking lumps out of us, and the referee decided to let them. It was that the second half was just a full-out physical assault from them. But again, we stood up to it and gave as good as we got. So, well, not gave as good as we got, but we didn't let that make us do anything rash. There was nobody looked like retaliating or doing something daft to get sent off. Everything was
absolutely, George. I mean, I was
everything.
wondering when would Xhaka lose his rag. I mean, they clouted him, they kicked him, and he kept his cool right throughout.
So something that maybe you wouldn't have thought Xhaka would have done a couple of seasons ago.
Exactly.
But they tried their hardest. I mean, they tried their hardest with Jorginho. They battered him, kicked him, elbowed him, threw him off the pitch into the boarding, the advertising boardings, and yeah. But
And as the match stats show, George, I mean, despite all of that, one yellow foul, one yellow card, you know?
And that was for us.
Yes, that was for Martinelli. Oh, what did he do? Some crap, and they conceded like 14 fouls. It's George. I mean, I don't know what Paulson. I never had a very high regard for him anyway. Back in the day when I did Unite for VAR, but I've gotten away from that. But starting off with the first goal, between him and the VAR rule out. I mean, in the context of the game, I could have said, okay, fine, if you were ruling very tight. But I mean, he got a hand to the punch, White held him and then let him go. I don't know, George. What are your thoughts on this? I mean, I'm in two minds, obviously.
Well, you can understand. I can see how they ruled it out, right?
Yes.
But having ruled that out, then they have to give a penalty for the Saka foul. If
the dude.
If they're setting the bar at that level of contact,
yes,
it's got to be a penalty. You can justify one, but that rules out justifying the other.
Exactly.
Or they can not give the foul, not give the penalty, fair enough, but they'll have to have allowed the goal. You can't not allow both. You can't not give the penalty and rule out the goal. That's just cheating.
Exactly. I mean, I don't know, George. I thought they call him assistant referees. I thought the linesman on that side of the pitch was decent. I think he got all the offsides right. Even the one with Gabriel, the one with Martinelli. I thought he got them right. But to rule, he didn't even shake the flag. That's a ref. Take a look at this. That's a foul. I just don't get it, George. And I thought, well, it's obvious. I mean, I'm beginning to think that the only thing that can stop us are the referees. I mean, I hate to go back to those days when we obsessed about refereeing. But I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Well, this last few weeks, it certainly looked like they're trying to keep the race interesting.
Yes.
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 I do wonder what's the thinking that if people are saying, oh, that they don't want Arsenal to win. Well, they don't want fucking City to win either.
Yes.
So I think the danger is that they do want United to win.
United?
Yeah, that would help. That would help them a lot, wouldn't it?
Oh, you mean you want United to sneak in their 49 points? I think.
Yeah, but it would. They want United to be in it, whether they win it or not.
Right.
So that would be the motivation because people either don't know or they've forgotten that years ago Scudamore said in public that Manchester United winning the title, winning the league, was good for the Premier League.
Yes.
Because of the flagship, worldwide, of the flagship team.
Mm-hmm.
More people turn in when United are playing than anybody else. So commercially, they want United to be a success. And I think we've seen over the years that they've done quite a lot to make that be the case. And they'll continue to do it, I suppose. It's the same. It's the same in Spain. The commercial success comes through Real Madrid and Barcelona winning. And
I think
people want to see.
I think in comparison, I think the Premier League loves a Manchester United, Arsenal.
But it's like in any sport.
Yes.
There are names that attract viewers.
Yes.
I remember when I'm not particularly interested in tennis, but if Roger Federer was playing, I used to switch the telly on.
Right.
Snooker. Alec Higgins used to play. You would tune in. And I think the promoters, they're all about making money. That's what they want. And United help the brand of the Premier League. And we just got to hope that they don't do a Leicester with them and start allowing them everything for the next 3 months.
Yes, I mean, I was a big enthusiast, big promoter of VAR, but I got out of it because I realized they could also manipulate VAR, and they can't.
Well, this is a problem that we thought that VAR meant that you could analyze what happened and give the right decisions, but now they can analyze what's happened and still give the wrong decision because they're trying to make everything subjective again.
Right. Where they draw the lines, George.
And then if they don't even draw the fucking lines, if it's going to be offside, if they don't want it to be seen.
Yes. What? So, George, I don't know. Despite their best, well, let me just say, along the lines of your speaking, I saw a news item this week where the Premier League changes rules to make it even harder for the Super League. So it's obvious that they still see the Super League as a threat. they still see that could potentially break up the Premier League, um, and the gravy train. I mean, everybody, and it's obvious that Europe is lusting. When I say Europe or the Super League is lusting for the Premier League riches. I mean, the fact of the matter is that all these players that come to the Premier League, the salaries are, stupendous. Unless you're playing for Real Madrid or Barcelona. Barcelona is a basket case. Juventus was stealing. Only PSG can pay big money in France. Where else can you get that nice 200,000 pounds a week, George?
Well, you can't, but it's not that. It's like every business. I don't understand it at all because there's corruption everywhere. Throughout the world, everywhere you look, there's corruption. And the more money that's involved, the more corruption there is. And I don't understand why people think that there would be no corruption in a multi-billion-pound industry like football. We see it in other countries, but if there was going to be anywhere, if I was corrupt and I wanted in football and I wanted to make money, the Premier League would be where I'd come because there's more money to make. It's as simple as that. It's the gravy train for corruption because there's that much money floating about. And people just think somehow that we wouldn't be involved in it,
No, really.
And you get owners that are quite happy to lob your head off, or owners that are quite happy to have you thrown out a window if you disagree with them, and but they would be beyond bribing officials or organisers of the Premier League. That would be one step too far. Yeah, you can throw a journalist out of a window and kill him, but don't be offering anybody a bribe to fix a football match. It just.
I know it's tangential. For most fans, they don't want to even hear this, George. But I mean, the scandal with Barcelona is that the club was paying huge money to this former head of the refereeing association to get an insight as to the allegation is that this is the allegation that this guy would influence who got to referee Barcelona games. I mean, come on, I remember we suffered at the hands of patently bent refereeing at the hands of Barcelona in our heyday. I mean, that thing with Van Persie getting chased off, sent off for kicking the ball.
When we were winning the tie with 15 or 20 minutes to go.
Yes. I mean, these guys are, they don't stop at anything, George.
Yeah, but we've seen it before. We saw it in the 49th game, 50th game up at Old Trafford. I mean, you've never seen more blatant cheating in all your life. And they get away with it. And all they do is say, he had a bad day.
Well, guys, I mean, if you have never read anything I wrote or anything, that day at was that Old Trafford, right, George? Yeah, it was at Old Trafford. That fixed me good and proper about how English refereeing is the best gold standard.
You know that referee that you're talking about, the one that sent Van Persie off for kicking the ball nearly a second after he'd blown the whistle when 50,000 people were whistling at the same time.
Yes.
He got promoted to head man for referees at FIFA and got a multi-million-pound chalet in Switzerland to live in, and he's still there, and you think, well, nothing to see here, boys. That's just a coincidence that he happens to be inept, but gets a top job and a multi-million-pound house to live in on Lake Geneva. Very nice if you can get it, but no corruption, none.
Yeah. Well, you see, we don't have anybody to spill the beans at Barcelona on that part.
No. Well, the thing is, I'm not being funny now, Shotta, but there's that much money involved.
Yes.
Right? And there's that many dubious characters about that you open the can of worms, you're likely to end up being thrown out of a window.
Exactly.
The more
Yeah,
money that's involved, the more dangerous it is to open your fucking mouth. So I don't
there's a
know.
lot of huge figures in the football, George. Huge figures.
Billions of pounds swishing about. And you can hire somebody to kill somebody for about 50 quid if you go into Manchester.
You should know.
Yeah, never mind 50 bill, 15
Yeah,
billion or whatever it is.
yeah. Well, George, we're reviewing the match. And I want to commend people like the blog, the review of the match by Birdcamp on your, on your Positively Arsenal blog, and I put the description in the notes for the podcast. Yeah, but he made the point. Looking back, it's hard to believe they got away without a single yellow card, while Martinelli was booked for the most nothingy foul in the game. And I have to agree 100%. And I fear, without repeating myself, I fear that this might become the theme for the rest of the season. It's both us and both us and City that are, and they are 2 points behind us, and with a game in hand. We have a game in hand. That's the expression. But that game in hand is against us, right, George? Or at least one of them is against us.
Yeah, the game in hand is against Manchester City. So
Yeah, it's tricky.
hmm.
But your thoughts on that?
Well, I think we're still in the box seat because I watched them, and they're not. I mean, I think they're a fantastic team, but they're not what they were last year or the year before. They're just not.
You think the dude there, the goal
Haaland.
scorer has yeah, he is they're not the same club job. They're looking for him all the while, and teams kept figuring a way to negate him. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, and they're playing. They're basically playing. I know it sounds daft. They're playing with 10 men until it gets in front of goal.
Right. He's not involved in the build-up play.
So, and they were all about build-up play. They were all about controlling the ball. So now they're
Yes.
having to do it a man down every game.
Right.
So they don't have the same dominance. They just don't look as good anyway. And whether they're a bit sick of winning, I don't know. I suppose
It's
that's a
very hard to
possibility.
motivate them. Yeah. So George, we have coming up on Wednesday, we have Everton at home. And then after that, we have Bournemouth. So they're two winnable games, but Everton, I don't know. They won against us one after their first game under what you may call it, but they went went right back to their usual self after that game. Yeah, I mean, at home that's ultimately winnable, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I mean they're a shocking team. Shocking.
Lampard, what did Lampard do to them, George?
Oh, but Sean Dyche, I mean,
Uh,
it's like this new manager bounce.
yes.
Somebody's punctured the ball.
Yeah. They're not very good, George. I mean,
No, they're not very good at all.
they lost their best player, Richarlison. They
Mm.
sold another guy, but he was their best player. Very dangerous. You know how he is, and he gets in your on your under your skin too. So that was a big blow for them. But I
But we
don't know.
should
And
beat
then,
them. We really should
huh?
beat them. And Bournemouth
Yes,
are absolutely fucking crap. There should be
yeah,
two gimme games, but you know what football's like. It never goes the way you expect, does it?
right.
They'll
The
have
one thing
I think they call it a free hit on Twitter.
I'm not
They
going to
have,
say that though, George. I'm
they
not going
have
to say that.
they have free hits
Free hit for Everton.
for
They
Everton
don't
and
have.
free hit for Bournemouth. They're
Yeah,
not.
they don't have to. All they have to do is turn up and give us a run for our money.
Yeah.
Um,
All they have to do is come up and be very, very physical and not come out their own box, and they'll get lauded and praised to high heaven by the
Yes.
punters and commentators, and will be told that they deserved something out of the game because they tried so hard. That's all they have to do. So,
Well, George, I was thinking, and as we come to the draw to the end, we really have no control, as we as fans, and it sounds philosophical, we have no control over the 11 that Arteta selects. By the way, he was bold to, in my opinion, to rest, not play with a dedicated centre forward. You didn't comment on that. We have no control over the opposition. We have no control over the refs. The only control we have is ourselves as fans. If you can, But I see some. I mean, I follow somebody, and he's like, he he knows himself. I'm not gonna call his name, but he just launches into Odegaard. He launches into Arteta. I mean, and if you should lose the game, of course, his following would be multiplied. We need to, this is, this is football. This is obviously, as you said, we are not the flagship of the Premier League, but we have to stand in there with the team. That's the only thing that we have any control of. Your thoughts on this?
well, I have no problem with anybody launching into Odegaard, Arteta, TB, whoever it is that the Xhaka. I have no problem with
Zorgino.
whatsoever if that's a genuine opinion.
Right.
But my problem is these fuckers don't actually hold that opinion. They're doing it for limelight. They're doing it for
Right.
attention. You know, you can't put like Jorginho. You can't possibly think he had a bad fucking game yesterday. You can't. Nobody can watch that game and think he had a bad game. Yet you see fucking tweets popping up all over the place saying that, hope he as soon as Party gets back, I hope he's dropped. You're just saying that for attention. And that's where I have the problem. And we saw it with blogs. You used to read that Lee Grove blog.
Yes.
Absolute bollocks for years and years and years. Absolute. And I can't believe that he believed what he was writing. And that's the problem. People saying what they don't believe,
Right.
And then you get those that say, we've been crying out for what we've got now for several years, 8 years maybe, 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
And now we've got it. People are going, oh, he has to go if he doesn't win it. If you don't win at this point, he has to be safe. Well, what the fuck are these people? What are they taking? Whatever drug it is, I don't want it. And I love drugs.
Well, that's another subject. George, you're absolutely right. And we're coming to the end. Most of these people now have gravitated to YouTube because, of course, they can monetize the whole thing. I mean, when it was Twitter and WordPress or wherever, they really couldn't make money from these extremes. They had a lot of people. But audience, look at what's happening. They've all gone to YouTube and monetize their blog. And not their blog, but their viewpoint. And it's as extreme as ever. I mean, who could have ever thought that we would be on top of the table 20-something games in the month of, virtually March, February. Top of the, given where we were last year, we were horrible in many respects. We couldn't create chances. You couldn't see the patterns of the play that you could, was going to take us forward. We lost last year around this time. I was to Everton, and I remember that game. Richarlison and the American dude, he plays wide for them, scored on us, and we just deflated. Think about that for a minute. It's amazing where we've come from, and you're just wild. You're the coach, you're the manager, you're scouts. Come on, give me a break. You don't know shit from Shinola.
Yeah, but we are where we are now, and I just think we should all be enjoying it. That's all.
Exactly.
You know, it's and the football. I mean, you can enjoy results or you can enjoy football, but it's great when you can enjoy both.
Right.
And that's what we're getting at the moment. You know, good results and good football. And long may it continue. And I think we're in with a real chance.
Exactly. Okay, George. I don't think. I think we should wrap this up. We've been nattering on. Try, we just want to add some insights and give our 2 cents. Guys, remember to like and subscribe. We're not in here for the money, we're just in here for the love of the game, as George said. Okay, George, any final words?
No, nothing from me. I'll see you next week.
You're at
With
loss for words,
with
George?
6 points in the bag.
Indeed, indeed. I'm not sure I can do the game, but I'll try. Everton, I'll try George. But once it runs so close, and then we have Bournemouth, is Saturday or Sunday? I'm not sure.
I
It's
think it's
sometimes
Saturday. I think we're not on TV again.
oh, so it's Saturday, and so when if we should get together, it takes at least a day then to get up. I'm not sure. So
Right.
guys, if we don't do that game, don't kill us because I still work. Thank you, George. Bye,
Thank you.
fans. Thank you for your support.
See you later.
See you later.